Hey, what's up Streamkeepers, and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, we have a very special guest here today with us. We have Bino from India. Once again, welcoming back to Stream Century and definitely welcome you back to Singapore. So thanks for coming back here.
Thank you so much Benny for having me here for the second time.
Yeah, so in today's topic, we actually, going to keep it very casual in the sense that we will be actually introducing a lot of tips and tricks to actually this video. So if you stay throughout this video, you can actually learn some of these tips that we actually use in terms of our infrastructure. And of course, what we want to hear today is actually Bino's journey in 2023. So Bino, maybe can you share with us what are some of the things that you actually plan for in 2023 and what you actually achieve right now, so that in 2023, when it, on the first day of 2023, we can actually hit the floor or hit the ground running.
Yeah, so actually like we did the last time, I already had a plan for 2023.
Right.
So my initial plan was to set up a rack, a shrimp rack with like 8 to 12 tanks. So I hope that's coming up well.
But what size of the rack you are talking?
So the rack which I made was 4 feet of length,
Okay.
2 feet width, and that can hold three levels.
3 levels. Okay.
Yeah.
3 tier. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like 4 into 60 into almost like 6 feet height.
6 feet high. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So how many tanks are you planning to have right now for those?
Yeah. So I already made all those tanks. So I had 12 tanks right now.
So you were saying that you made all those tanks. So what can you maybe elaborate? What do you mean by made?
So for me, the place where I live, it's little outskirts from the main city where you can actually get the tanks. So what I do, I usually go to hardware shop where I give the measurements. I sit, it takes almost like 1 to 2 hours for me to sit and do all the calculations, the measurements of the racks.
Right.
I go to the hardware shop, I give them the measurements in centimeter I want them to cut, and then I bring back the rack.
Okay.
Then I used to silicone it myself.
The glass itself.
Yeah, all those glasses.
So you are saying you actually built the glasses. So that's why you say you made those glass tanks.
Yes.
Wow. So I think for Singaporeans, we are actually very blessed to actually have ready-made tanks available, widely available. I think having to go through the process to actually measure, cut, silicone, weight, hold it there. I think it's also a part of the process, a part of the it's an art, something like that. It gives you more enjoyment to the entire process as well. Right?
That's correct.
So in 2023, you're gonna have this rack with tanks and all that. So a lot of times, a lot of people ask me, how do you actually manage a facility, or how do you manage your time? What do you actually do? So my common answer is you try to automate it, right? You try to automate it. So have you ever thought of automation?
I have thought of automation before I start my rack, but I really had very less idea on how to do that.
Okay.
So I haven't started it. Maybe when I do my second or third rack, hopefully I'll do the automated ones.
All right, right. So I think after doing so many racks, we actually kind of like understand that every time when we go from one rack to another rack, building up one to another, and then as we progress on, as we learn more, as we build up more, it helps us understand what actually needs to be done, right?
Yes, correct.
And a lot of things is to be done up front. A lot of things, like for example the infrastructure, the tanks, the racks have to be done up front. That will definitely help in terms of the entire process. But in the very beginning, nobody tells us about this. Nobody teaches us. So what we do is that we buy a rack, we put the tanks, we put the water, we put the soil, and we put the stream seed after that.
Correct.
So I think after a while, if there's a guidebook or handbook that says, if you are supposed to do this step, have this step done, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, that will actually help to increase the entire experience, so that you don't have to actually go back and forth. But I think that in itself is also a learning journey for a lot of people. So what would you do differently if, let's say, you're going to set up a next rack?
Okay, if I said, so the one main disadvantage that I had in my this rack, so I had 4 tanks in each rack. So the lower rack tank has got a leak.
Oh,
When you
water
made
leak.
that, yeah, there was a water leak.
Oh shit.
So I
Okay.
usually test the water. I usually test it for 24 hours to check for any water leak.
Okay.
Then I place it in the rack. I put soil and everything is ready. And the next day I woke up with there was water. So I actually don't know what to do. I had to take the rack out. And I didn't remove the glass. I put some extra silicone
Silicone on
towards
it.
the corner where it was leaking,
Uh-huh.
and also few silicones on the outer side. And I let it to cure for another 24 hours.
Right.
Then I did a water check for 3 days this time, and then I put it back onto the
days.
rack. So now I learned. So the next time if I do the same thing for tanks, I'll test it for 2 days and then I put it on the
And
rack.
then I put it on the rack.
Yeah.
I see.
So
I
unless
see.
I am confirmed or confident that it will not leak anymore.
Right. So what kind of soil do you use?
So basically, I used AD Amazonia version 2 in all the tanks.
And what other things do you put in the tank? Do you use sponge filter? What kind of filtration?
Yeah, filtration wise, I use sponge filter, the one that
filter.
has got 2 sponges.
Okay, okay, yeah.
That thing, and then I put one terracotta pot with
Yep.
some AD soil,
Uh-huh.
so that I can put some,
Some
plants into
plants
that.
in it. So
Yeah.
what kind of plants do you normally use? Is it the same type that I use, like the
Yeah,
Echinodorus?
it's the same Echinodorus, but it's little different.
Different type
I don't know.
of
I can see a lot of varieties here.
Yeah. So coming back to this automation, so maybe I can share with the with the people. I think a lot of people are actually quite curious at some of these sponge filters that we use over here. We actually pluck out the head.
Yeah, the one on the top of the
The
filter.
one on the top. There are actually quite a few positive to this. I understand that the design is so that the bubbles actually flow through there.
Yeah.
But what we didn't want is that if the sponge get choked, we still have to remove this. We have to remove this, and then after that you can scrub that
Yes,
that shaft, the tube in there. So that's 2 steps. So if you remove this from the start, then it's just 1 step. So you just have to
Yeah.
clean it. So the second positive part of this is that the water doesn't flow through to the front of the glass. However, that also means that the circulation of the tank is not as strong, it's not as good. So the water parameters has to be very, very ideal before you actually put the streams in. I think that is one of the clause that we want to actually say when you remove this. So if it doesn't work for you, you can put this back. But for us, we actually remove this so that actually you can hear more than 50 tanks over here. You can actually you don't really hear that
Yeah, correct.
bubbling thing as well. So that's one of the things that we kind of changed. And then the second part of it is that all along we have been using RO tubes, tubings,
Yeah,
right? And
yes,
it's
correct.
very malleable, it's very, you can bend. But however, in recent times, we actually, switched to part of the setup to actually using this thin PVC.
Okay.
This thin PVC actually has the same dimension as the RO tubings. That actually, in the sense that it's straight.
Okay,
It
so
doesn't.
basically it doesn't bend
It doesn't bend.
like the RO tube.
Yeah, the RO tube. So it becomes quite unsightly if you have a long one and then
Yeah.
it starts to bend. So this is very straight, and you can actually put any of these tabs over here. Is connected. So it fits nicely over here. It has the same dimension with all these tabs and connectors. Another part of it is draining the discharge part
Yeah.
of the tank, right? The discharge part. I think we have been discussing about this, how the discharge actually work. So for this, we actually kind of like modify it a little bit. Over here, you can see that there's 2 holes. We wanted to do this is, in case of one is being choked, there's another one that is still available. What we did is that we actually remove the clips over here. We actually remove it. We put a sponge in there, a black sponge, and then we put it back. And this will be our discharge valve. So we actually connect it to our discharge valve. So it actually helps in terms of this semi-automation and automation of this entire tank setup. And of course, you have lightings. Nowadays, lightings are very simple. You just have to buy that socket, you go through the app, and then you can actually do it. So I think all in all, there's a lot of new tips or new things that we actually introduce in terms of automation. And I would really like to share this with you so that in future, you can actually save a lot of time to do selective breeding rather than to do water changes.
Yeah.
Water changes, after a while, yes, I understand there are some people that use the water change time to actually view the streams. However, you can also reallocate those times to actually do selective breeding. So Bino, before we close this topic, is there anything else you want to share with the audience that you want to tell them?
Yeah, so the main thing I want to share this time is about the infrastructure.
No.
So if you are going for a automated one or anything into the infrastructure, first you do everything. You just spend lot of times in figuring out how to. It's okay to draw like 2-3 times, have a proper figure in your mind. It's like what you want to be in the future, and then make all the arrangements, and then put the rack into position.
Right. So this is after you have done your rack.
Yes,
and then
yes,
now you
exactly.
think through that it actually makes sense to actually have that drawing out,
Yeah, correct.
design, and then implementation. So actually it helps.
It helps a lot.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I realize that I didn't have automated one.
Yeah, but you can do a lot of add-ons on that. I think that's also fine. And every rack is a learning process. Every rack is something that you use to actually make it better than the last one. I think that's most important. So thank you very much, Bino. Appreciate your time here in Singapore. I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you coming back in Singapore once again in the future.
Thank you so much, Vinny, for having me here.
All right, so thank you guys for watching this video. If you like this video, please remember to give a thumbs up, and please remember to subscribe to this channel. And until next time, peace out.